RP community, it's not about men is better than women or women needs to do this, like women are bad people and and right. That's why we don't believe in the walk away crowd. We don't believe in the MGTOWers, right? We don't believe in the black pill, but at the same time we also don't believe in the white pill either, right? That's the reason why there's an RP, right? Because we know what the truth is, and it's like, how do we navigate? And we're back with another episode of His and Hers.
Yep.
This is going to be part 2 of a 3-part series that we're doing on breaking all the statistics. Yes.
Yep.
From 1960 all the way to the present, right?
Yep.
And it has to relate to our channel, guys, right? Which is about the truth.
Yep.
Which is about family, kids, and the best outcome for your family unit, right, and your kids.
Yep.
And then how these stats, like I said, it's nothing we can refute, guys.
No.
Can't get emotional about it.
No.
It's just about statistics that's been happening in the last 4 or 5 decades, which has caused this modern day relationship issue that we are all experiencing now, right? That we're all seeing.
Well, because they don't want to hear the truth. And then, of course, you get social media just sort of blanking it, like just putting a blanket over it and just trying to make it look good and feel good for you guys. But you know what? CDC, they have their statistics
and that's debunking the lies, right? There's so many things trying to hide the truth, guys, and trying to, spout lies at you. So that's why we're here to try to debunk these lies for you as well, too. This is my lovely wife.
Hi, guys.
Yeah. Forgot
I'm
the introductions.
Sim.
Yep,
Yes,
my name is Twan.
Yep.
Right, and guys, while you're here, because we're gonna be spitting more truths in this video, please smash this like button. Right, turn on the notification bell. Right, comment share these statistics because, like I said on my very first, the first part of this video, right. So much people think that the RP community is just about this ideology that we're trying to prop up men and trying to downplay women because of we all got hurt or we're all just a grunge hold a grudge against women, right?
We're trying to work here together and we're trying to
guys,
get the truth out there.
I told you guys I'm an older gentleman, right? And I've seen these issues just rise up in the last 3-4 decades that I've been kind of obviously 2 or 3 decades I've been paying attention, right? And so this is, like I said, just to expose the truth to you guys, and you guys can use it whichever way you want to use it. Our hope and our channel's hope is always that you guys use it for your best outcome, right? We're hoping that you guys have positive outcomes from it because, like we always said, we're better together than apart. That's why the RP community, it's not about men is better than women or women needs to do this, like women are bad people and right. That's why we don't believe in the walk away crowd. We don't believe in the MGTOWers, right? We don't believe in the black pill, but at the same time we also don't believe in the white pill either, right? That's the reason why there's an RP, right? Because we know what the truth is, and it's like, how do we navigate the truth so that way both genders, both parties can have the best outcome and work together. Work together.
We need to balance it out, and that's why we're here making these kind of channels to let you guys know the truth, and that's the only way we can get the truth out and then show you guys the love. And this is our love to you guys, is the truth and the best outcome for your future and your kids. So
guys, go check out our channel over at TikTok at His&Hers YT. We'll keep posting videos over there and hopefully expose some more short clips about the truth. And the truth is, I wanted to say something real quick. As much as these statistics are for both parties to absorb and learn, right? And yes, when men hear the truth, it will definitely help them, right? And men, we are more logical by nature, right? That's not an argument at all. I don't think there's any debate about that. But men are more logical. And so when we see these stats, we can kind of use it and kind of, help us navigate the modern world. I think, me personally, though, I think these stats needs to be more made aware to the woman, though, right? And show how it's affecting the men's obviously relationship with the women, right? Like our last stat about the whole weight thing. We need to let women know, hey, your guys' weight is affecting our sexual attraction to you. Okay. So today's part 2 videos, we're going to be focusing on the education and the finance aspect, right? Because that's a huge thing, right? because we live in this modern day and age now that has told men and women that we're
Certain
equal.
ways, yeah.
Well, that we're equal. We're the same. And that our values are the same. And the one thing that they always focus on, right, is that women and men's values are the same when we're both financially bringing something to the table,
yeah.
right? And guys, we've said this so many times in the video. Women, as much as you might emotionally get triggered or hurt by me saying this, but ladies, you do not bring finance to the table. That is a men's value to bring. Doesn't mean that you can't go do it. No one's sitting here and saying that it's against the law for you to do it, or men isn't sitting here and saying that by you cannot do it. We're just saying that in terms of sexual and also relationship commitment value, we don't find that as a value. We don't look at that as a value that you bring to the table. Okay? And so I'm going to break down these stats real quick, and it's going to show you guys how, unfortunately, because of this lie, right? That's why we like debunking these lies, that women can bring finance, right? Because the Matrix and social media and modern, whatever government's telling that women that, hey, be a boss babe, bring finance to the table, and that will make you a valuable woman because of this lie that you guys have all, unfortunately, absorbed and agreed to.
Well, that's what I'm
it's
just
hurting
trying to say,
relationships.
Though, honey. Yes, I know. But if it's a relationship in terms like a man and a woman in a relationship, yes, it's one thing that he should be capable of taking care of you. If he is a true man with his high, all that, his values, right? If he did, do all that stuff. But I understand. I know women out there will be watching the video and be like, oh my God, I got to support myself because I don't got no man. Well, there is a thing. Yes, you probably have to support yourself in certain ways, or maybe one of your spouse is dead or whatever else. There are certain situation, yes, that you do have to work. We're not debunking that you can't work to support yourself, but we're trying to say if you're in a relationship with a man and woman and you're married and stuff, the man should up his game to take care of you.
I'll break that down in a second, because you hit a really good point, right? The idea, what we talk about all the time, guys, right? There's the truth, and it's how your perception of the truth is. And so my wife is kind of bringing up the topic of how women used to perceive that value versus how, because of the lie and because of these stats that I'm going to show you here pretty soon, how it's changed the modern woman's perception of what this value really is. Okay? So real quick, guys, high school diploma graduates from 1960 all the way to 2020, men and women the same. It used to have a very low high school diploma graduation. I think it was like less than 10% back in 60s. And then you notice from the 60s to like almost the 70s or 80s, guys, the links are on statista.com, statistics. And once again, we'll provide all the links in our videos, right?
Yep.
But you'll notice that there was a sharp increase in terms of high school graduations for both men and women from the 1970s all the way to the present. And I think that had to do with the government standardizing, right?
The right
education, right? Like they started pushing government funding, right? Because before then, back in the day, it was more like local community schooling, right? Local. So depending on like if you lived in a good city, you had better schools, and then of course with the government's help. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing, guys. Like I said, we're just here to give you guys the stats, right? Because of the government stepping in and obviously standardizing education. And guys, we can argue about what they're teaching us or not in a different video.
Later.
But the basic statistics is that everyone started graduating high school. And so now it's like, I think almost 80% of people, men and women, graduate high school. Okay. The next one, though, the next stat is the big kicker, is college, 4 years of college education or higher, right? And so this is where you see the dramatic thing, right? So from 1940 all the way to 1920, there's just a steady decline for men. I think it was like at around like 20%, 16% in the very beginning. And then you see it to the present day now where it's like 30-something%.
Yeah, I see a lot more.
32%. Well, the key is that not that there's more women per se now, if you look at the statistic on this graph that you guys can link to, it's just that in the 1940s, women weren't focusing on education, right? Because, for lack of better words, we were in traditional roles. The man was the provider, right? So he was the one that was required, right, was the one that was supposed to be like going to school, go get a job, and provide for the family. Yeah. That was their role, right? And so women would not have an interest in it, or they just wouldn't do it because, or maybe they didn't have the opportunity post 1960s, right, with the women's rights movement and everything like that. Yeah. That you notice that there was like not that many women that went into 4-year college degrees, right? Like I said, take emotions out of this, guys. Right, wrong, or whatever.
We're just looking at statistics.
But as you see, once the 1960s start to hit, 1970s start to hit with the feminist movement, with the women's rights being passed, you start seeing that there's a steady increase until now, until 2021, that it almost matches the men. And recent polls have shown that women are actually attending college. See, that's the key. It's we haven't have a recent statistics yet that says that women are out graduating 4-year college degrees as men. It's just attendance right now. So obviously with this huge push to, to get women into obviously education roles and obviously into careers, quote unquote jobs, more women are attending college than men, right? And then also, we can talk about this in another time, but my guess is because that men aren't really incentivized to go to school anymore. I mean, let's be honest, right? Because now with this whole lie of men and women being equal, and men aren't really required to be the providers anymore, you don't see a lot of men attending college as much as women because of that factor. And let's be honest, this is another topic. This is another video altogether. But what they're teaching in the schools don't really behoove men. Let's be honest, okay? Okay, so like I said, there's been this huge, increase in women graduating so now that it matches the men, okay? And this is lead to, of course, the salary increases, okay? So our next stats, guys, is about the average earnings for weekly for men and women from 1979 all the way to 2020. And obviously the hourly pay for between men and women from 1960 to 2021. Okay, so guys, check out that stats. Those will be in the links as well, and they come from Statista and the Pew Research. So all legit stats, guys, right?
All
right.
there.
So you'll notice that the men's salary, in terms of the weekly earnings, has not super gone up.
No.
Right, and so it's gone up a little bit,
but not
right, but it's not as much as you think, right? And then, of course, the women, of course, dramatically gone up because now you guys are attending school. Now you guys are, focusing on your jobs instead of family, instead of, kids and stuff like that. And you're just focusing on your careers, right? And so now you're getting into more jobs and working longer hours. Now, granted, you're still not getting the same weekly pay. And this has nothing to do, the wage gap has been debunked so many times over. It has to do with the choices of jobs that you guys choose, right? A lot of women go into more social type of jobs, right? Interaction with people. And men go into more like science, technology, right? STEM, right? Science, technology, engineering, and math, right? So just more jobs that pay higher, right? And so, but my point is, there's just been this dramatic increase in pay for the women because now you guys are actually going into the workforce and not focusing on the family and
that's
kids.
Why there's also decline in marriage and decline in a lot of people now who made the money.
And that will be the last part, honey.
Tell you.
So let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? And then the last thing was the whole wage gap, progress, right? And so the average hour pay has gone up dramatically for women, just like the average weekly pay has. But once again, it's just this lie of that women gets paid less than men, guys. No, it's just they got a number of how many women work, how many hours they work, and then they got a number of how many men work and how many hours they work, and they just said, okay, well, how much is the average pay that we're getting? They didn't take into account the types of jobs that you did. Right? So, like I said,
that's why I just had to mention
someone in science, technology, engineering, math is going to get paid more than, unfortunately, a teacher or a social worker or something like that, right? So, it's the choice of job that you work. But my point is, women's salary has dramatically gone up since the 1960s, 1970s, right? I think you guys were initially at like 16, like even less than $16,000 a year, like something like $10,000 a year, starting back in 1960. Now you guys are up to like 30 something thousand. And like I said, for men, it hasn't gone that up. It was like initially like 26 or 30 something $1,000. Like, guys, go check out the stats. but it's like 30 something, and now we're at 42.
40-ish,
Yeah, so
40-ish.
it's only gone up by like 10,000 for men since the 60s until now, whereas women it's gone from like 10,000 all the way up to 30 something thousand, right? And so now we can have this conversation of the perception, okay? Because the problem now is what my wife was talking about earlier is the problem is because women are making their own money now, right? They don't value this value for the man anymore.
Nope.
Whereas before they would say, okay, hey, I brought my values, the fitness, the femininity, and the fidelity.
Yep.
And this man who was only bringing $30-something thousand every year, he was an average man, but he was providing everything that I needed as best as he could for my family. He was trading his full salary to me to have kids.
Yep.
Right. And then, of course, guys, economics, inflation,
Well, it's not
the cost of everything. Right.
Yeah.
But my point was her perceived value of his was a lot higher than now.
Yeah.
Because now she can make her own money and she can make on average $30-something thousand a year. And to her, she's like, well, who cares if he's only making $40,000? This is why you get this perception now that these women, the modern woman, wants these top 10% men because they're used to an average lifestyle now. So what they want now is this top 10% lifestyle
That everybody's going for, women, because you don't want the average.
Yeah.
What did we tell you? Average guys can get up their
Take
value.
care of you,
Take
yeah.
care of you. If
Well-
they're feeding you, putting a roof over your head, and doing everything else, there's nothing wrong with that. But now you rather choose to live by yourself. Then you know what? Don't complain when someone finds you dead by yourself, cat woman, dog woman, whatever else.
Let me say a statement.
I have to say that.
Let me say the statement that puts everything in perspective. Average women don't want average lifestyles anymore. And it's because of this stat. Right?
Yeah.
Because you guys can afford your own average lifestyle now. So what you guys want is the top 10% of lifestyle now.
Yep.
And so once again, right or wrong, I'm all about outcomes. No more emotional ties set aside.
Nope.
That's right. The problem is you guys have been given this equality. Great. We're not going back. You guys have been given this opportunity to earn, make your job, work, have this value that the man was supposed to bring,
Yep.
be equal in this sense. The problem is it skewed your guys' perception
and thinking
of the truth. Right? The truth was supposed to be still that the man's value, this is the man's value to bring, and that his value was supposed to be good enough for your values. Unfortunately,
You're not.
this situation, this stat, this truth, this, what's happening right now, unfortunately, is causing that value to be perceived as less. And so
then
that's
you
what's
look at the
causing the
man,
outcome.
and then you look at the man as a less value than yourself, than other women. You're like, oh well, he doesn't make anything good and correct. I don't want him, But
Yeah.
then guess what? Then the man's like, well, if you don't want me, then you can live by yourself.
Yeah.
And they rather not, turn the other way. So it's like, why?
Yeah. And so now when you combine our first two videos, right? Now you're making this money, so you don't value the man at all, like my wife said, right? The average man grotesques you, for lack of better words. You don't even think of his value as a value.
Yeah.
You actually think of it as less than you now because you think of him not as equals. You think of him as not even capable now. The only man that you find is equal to you now because you still realize, women inherently realize, as much as you guys maybe not logically rationalize this, you guys still realize that you guys bring your fidelity to the table. You bring the sex and your physical capability to the table.
And think about it. Even if you got the man that had a little bit more money than you, right? He still wants the other value of yours. Okay? Do you look good? Do you take care of things, whatever else? And then if you're going to tell him, you know what, I still make my own money. I don't want to do this. I don't want to cook. I don't want to clean. I don't want to watch my kids. You think he wants you?
Yeah, but let's talk about just
I'm
the
just trying to
average.
say
You're 100%. But let's talk about the average, right? So the problem is why we're all suffering right now, and it's because the average is what's suffering, right? Top 10% isn't suffering per se. It's still effed up. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. Women look at that as an equal value now, right? And because, like I said, you guys still understand that you're supposed to bring the sex, the fidelity to the table, and so you guys are saying, well, now I bring this value, which is a false value. I've already said this. You are not supposed to bring finance to the table. And now I also bring fidelity to the table. How is an average man value the same as this because I'm bringing fidelity and finance, right? And so the only way it's going to be an equal value is that if this man has to make this much more than me financially to make my two values equate to him. So that's guys, that's the reality. That's what's happening to this day and age marketplace because that's how the modern woman is perceiving their values now. So ladies, this is, you want to call it a shot towards you. You want me to say that I'm hating women, but you guys have to change your perception of what this value is because you guys don't bring this value. And the men will never, at least the men that you want as well too, will never accept this value as a value that you're going to bring. And we've been saying this for the longest time. You know, the RP community has been saying this for the longest time. And that worries
us because, you know, the way the media and everything, you know, all that stuff is just tearing you guys apart in a way, you know? So that's why it worries us, and that's why we're making this channel and trying to bring the truth out to you guys. So you can check, you know, through the website. We'll put it down there. You can Google some other places to look at.
And the truth is the truth. If you know, hey ladies, if you guys want to be that cat woman, dog woman, like my wife is saying, and you guys just can't say, hey, you know, I'm bringing $30,000 to the table, and you know, and I'm bringing my fidelity as well, and I'm just not going to accept a $40,000 average man. Let me tell you guys this, though. Shout out to Kevin Samuels. He says it all the time. How are you guys going to be financially capable of retiring until you die? You just are not. We broke this down in another video already, right? You need $2 million to survive your last 20 years of your life.
2.4.
Right? So let's say you just need $1 million to survive the last 10 years of your life, right? You making $30,000 a year?
Nope.
How much money are you going to actually be able to save to be able to actually make it so that way you have it to survive? So that's the reason why we're finding, you know, women dying alone.
You know,
right?
You need to travel, you need to eat, you know, you need to, I don't know, there's just so much stuff in life.
How are you supposed to have your lifestyle?
House, you know,
how are you supposed to
pay bills, you know?
Correct.
I mean,
and guys, it's only tragic, and this is another double standard, which I have no problem with. I'm just telling you guys the truth, right? It's only tragic when they find women alone dead at home. Guys go alone and die all the dang time. Men do that all the time. We go in the woods, we can go kill ourselves, right? Men still have deletion rates way higher than women.
Which is still sad. I want you to be deleted.
My point is, it doesn't become a societal issue until women start doing, because guys, that is a clear indicator of how our society is doing. If the women and children are going to have those outcomes, how well is your society really doing? Right? The men are supposed to be what they call it, lost leaders, right? We're supposed to be just cannon fodder, right? Men are the first to be sacrificed, right? But now if the women are going to be the cannon fodder, how do you really judge your society as being a well-to-do progress society?
It's very sad.
Yeah. But anyways, guys, check out our next video. The next video, we're going to start breaking down the stats on the outcomes, right? So what these first two videos have shown is kind of the stats that reflected our values and how it's unfortunately changed our perception of our values, leading to these outcomes. But in part 3, we'll break down the actual outcomes themselves. Okay, guys?
Tune in.
So check out the next one.
Bye.
Thank you.